Have you ever wondered what it's like to fly a real-life jetpack? Well, I have too, and today I was gonna give it a try. Doing this can be very dangerous because the jets are spitting out fire that is 2,000 degrees, so I had to wear a very special suit that would allow me to handle the heat. Going into this, I had a number of questions. How high would I be able to take this thing? How hard was it to control? Well, to answer those questions, this is Sean, who is gonna teach me everything I needed to know.
This thing's never been flown before, so you're a test dummy. Totally kidding. You'd still be down. My man, I like
At this point, I was ready for anything, but I didn't know what anything was. Up until a few weeks before, I didn't even realize that jetpacks were actually possible. So now it was time for me to strap in and get ready for my first flight. But before I take off, let me explain why I wanted to do this in the first place. You see, it all started several months ago when I became obsessed with wanting to become a real-life superhero. It started with the idea of me wanting to jump high, where I worked with an engineer to build a contraption that would allow me to do so. We worked for weeks to explore all the options of increasing my speed and vertical. However, it wasn't enough, and we needed to take it further. While we kept exploring options to increase the jump to an even higher level, the idea of flying is one that really stood out to me. I knew I needed to see if it was possible. However, this is where things get interesting because at this point I didn't know what to expect from the jetpack at all, and until I was able to give it a try, I wanted to be prepared for anything. I found some of the highest and scariest machines I could possibly find, pushing myself out of my comfort zone so that no matter what would happen, I would be ready. And then finally came the day where I was able to give it a try. You may have seen a jetpack before, but there's a lot that makes this one special. Apparently, this one was made almost a decade before any other jetpack on the market, making this essentially the world's first real-life jetpack. This is David, who not only built the jetpack, but is also going to explain why it's incredibly difficult to master.
I mean, there's 400 pounds of thrust there nearly. Wow. It's a lot. So that's hover. If you held that position there, you'd be doing 100 miles an hour.
And the final thing you might notice before I'm ready to ride this, aside from how difficult it can be to learn, is it gets really, really loud. If you've ever wanted to learn how to fly a jetpack, pay close attention.
We can't stop you from going up. We can stop you from, the tether line will help you with the safety from hitting the ground or anything like that.
Okay.
Because before I could even attempt the first flight, I needed to go through a detailed training procedure.
I'll have full control on your hands like this, flying with you for the whole entire first flight. Okay.
He expressed that he almost never lets go of someone during the first flight, since it's really difficult to get full control of right away. However, I wanted to see how good I can get on the first flight, and I told him I was willing to be challenged.
If I feel like you're starting to gain some hover control and you can actually start balancing it yourself, I'll be able to slowly start backing up and just see if you can actually keep control of it. The left side's the yaw. It's very, very sensitive, both throttles and the yaw control.
And when he said sensitive, he really meant it. I didn't realize how sensitive these could actually be.
It's micro movements. I mean, within 1/8 of an inch, you can be able to do an entire 360.
So we kept practicing it for a while. He said if he could even see my hand move, I was turning too much.
In order for you to stay hovering and not to continue moving forward, it's those arms are going to be completely flat horizontal.
And this is exactly what David was saying earlier, where even 15 degrees forward would take you up to 100 miles an hour.
You see how you have the movement of this?
Yeah.
That's going to control your forward movement and your backward movement.
And this is where things finally started to get interesting. Because while I felt I understood the controls right from the beginning, actually trying it was a whole different story. It took me a long time to actually get comfortable, but my goal was to make him entirely let go.
Keep those arms up to the point where if I'm able to start backing my hands away and you're not coming into me, that means you're hovering perfectly.
Eventually, he finally took his hands away and I started to feel more comfortable. I would have assumed that when flying a jetpack, having prior flight knowledge, or even experience in riding something like a motorcycle would have been incredibly useful. But it turns out that there's one skill that if you already have, might make you an incredible jetpack pilot. That one skill is what David told me shortly after I got off.
See how sensitive that throttle is? Yeah. Come on forward. It's okay. Come on forward.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Amazing control. You didn't go opposite or the wrong way at any time. It was honestly one of the best flights I've seen for the first shot. So
sounds good.
Well done, dude. Well done.
Flying the jetpack was much harder than I expected, and I wish I knew this skill to begin with.
It's interesting what we're finding is that, you know, skaters, surfboard riders, that kind of thing are doing a lot better than traditional pilots.
It turns out if you really want to get good at this, balance is the most important thing you can learn. So until I could take this even higher, I'm gonna need to get better at pushing my natural limits. So the next video is gonna be even crazier.
Whoa.